And now, World Improv Network proudly presents Community Court.
When two parties cannot solve a dispute, community court is there to solve problems. See?
All rise for the most Honorable Judge Kenneth Vicarro.
All right, everybody. I believe it's monsoon season, so try to keep it brief so we can all return back to our abodes and prepare.
Dangerous conditions out there, Judge.
And, yeah, Junior is just, I think babies are kind of like dogs. They have like a storm sense, or people that have like metal rods, and they're like, I think like the magnetism.
Yeah.
Like electrons.
They're just much more sensitive because they haven't been assaulted by things for 30 years.
Yeah. No, Junior, you do not want to know about assault. Unless you choose to go down the same route as his daddy and go into law.
Proud second generation jurisprudence.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? Junior the judge. Junior judge. Judge Junior. Yeah, it makes me laugh too, buddy. All right, well, let's get down to business, huh? So today I have our plaintiff is a young man, mid-20s, and you're a very bright young fellow, it seems, but maybe you've been wronged. Maybe just fortune hasn't smiled on you like you planned.
That's putting it lightly.
But speaking of passing down the torch of liberty and the scales and whatnot, Mr. Michael Simtone.
Yep. Esquire,
Michael Simtone Esquire. Oh, that's what that is. Okay. And then from where'd you go to law school, young man? Mr. Simtone.
Thank you. I am a proud graduate of the University of Wyoming Law.
Wyoming Law. All right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And representing the School of Wyoming Law, we have Professor and Dean Chuck Klosterman.
Hello, Your Honor. It's great to be here today.
All right, pleasure. So let's get down to it, Mr. Simtone. Why are we here? Why did you bring this about?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm bringing suit against the University of Wyoming Law Program. I spent 4 long years there. I studied very hard. I graduated with honors, and I have been unable to find a job since I have left. Because employers don't seem to respect the University of Wyoming Law Program.
Well, all right. Well, let's before we get the defendant's point of view. Sorry to cut you off.
No problem. That's all right.
Dean Klosterman. When you say the name hasn't gotten you,
Yes.
What could you elaborate on that? What do you mean?
Well,
what have people said?
I've been laughed at several interviews. I have a couple friends who went to Harvard Law, and they didn't even have to get interviewed. They were just accepted into.
And I just want to point out
positions.
for people listening in on this or watching from in the courtroom, Harvard is a very prestigious school.
Yes,
in
very much so
in California.
Yes.
I guess that's funny.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But like I said, it's been a long, hard road applying for these jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the University of Wyoming because they had really nice brochures. They talked themselves up, said their program was great, well respected.
Did you feel like you got an adequate education to prepare you for practicing law?
I really thought I had, but then once you get out into the real world, you find out that, because before I started law school, I didn't know anything about law. Nothing. That's why I was going to school.
Yeah.
So it was only once I got out into the real world that I found out how little respect the University of Wyoming Law actually gets from employers.
All right. So, Dean Klosterman, how do you explain the people aren't going to hire this young bright man who people aren't hiring because he has his law degree from your school.
Well, the thing he found to tell you the rest of the story. He studied litigation, corporate litigation, as well as insurance litigation. He was specializing in workers' comp. And that's the kind of law he wants to practice. However, the problem is that Mr. Esquire is trying to practice workers' comp for cattle. So it's kind of hard to find someone that's going to hire him to take on a case to sue a rancher when the cattle ain't got no money and they got a hard time even kind of communicating and signing contracts with Mr. Esquire. That's why he ain't had a job. Cattle, workers' comp is his specialty field of law.
So you're saying it's not due to the name of Wyoming law that he isn't getting offers.
Well,
you're saying that it's the industry.
Correct. It's directly not the name because we are the cowboys up here. So when he came to our school, he assumed that everything that was going on here related around cowboys and the industries of cowboys. So I think that's why he took a fancy to cattle.
Have you tried applying to Mr. Simtone? Have you tried applying to non-cattle related insurance and work comp litigation?
Yes. After about 6 months of nothing, I expanded a bit. I'm still concentrating on a lot of large ranches, and I'm taking meetings with herds of cows regularly to find those that are hiring. But communication is very difficult.
All right, maybe that was something lacking in the Wyoming law program. Is that there wasn't a cattle relations department?
There wasn't. He was a strong advocate to start one here, and he was looking.
Mr. Simtone,
yes, and he was trying to rustle up as many cattle as possible to sign a bill for the state legislature to start a department because we're a state-funded university.
And what turned out from that?
It hasn't done that yet. It hasn't gone through yet. However, the logo, as you can see right here, Your Honor, is a cowboy, right? He's riding a bull right here.
That's a very good illustration.
Yeah, and that's on the front of our law packet. So I think that subconsciously from day one, he wanted to not only try to be a change for starting a program to add to Wyoming law, but right away he knew he was going to get into cattle litigation.
Why wasn't this addressed earlier? If you knew this about Mr. Simtone, wouldn't it have been to his benefit and the Wyoming law program's benefit to have alerted him that his expectations might need to be adjusted?
Well, our job here at the University of Wyoming Law School was to give our students the tools to succeed, but how they implement them tools is up to them, right? And so we gave Mr. Esquire or Mr. Simtone, whatever he prefers to be called by.
Esquire is a title. It's the title I received after I graduated with a law degree. Dean Klosterman, I would... do you see what I'm dealing with here, Your Honor?
So Mr. Simtone over here, we gave him the tools to succeed. He just chose to try to study law, which is not a bad idea to go into a new practice, something that's niche-based, not a lot of competition. There's no one else in the world doing it. However, he's dealing with a very dumb species and trying to get them...
You can say that again, Mr. Klosterman.
Can you point out to other graduates... Can you point at examples of graduates that have gone on to have success, or have any of your graduates been hired?
Your Honor,
yes, Mr. Simtone?
I actually hold the distinction of being the first graduate of Wyoming law.
Oh, all right. So this is your first graduate, and you ain't exactly giving him legs to walk on, Dean Klosterman.
Well, we gave him the tools. We gave him a pitchfork. We gave him
What's that got to do with law?
Well, it's just kind of a
See, that seems to be indulging his these proclivities towards cattle.
Well, it's kind of like
giving him a pitchfork.
We decided that every new student that comes to the law school, they get a pitchfork. It's a symbol of Wyoming. Right?
That's a very interesting investment to make for a law school program.
Well, I was encouraged to use the pitchfork to create piles of cud to lure cattle in.
And who encouraged you to do that?
Well, it was my guidance counselor. He's not here, but he answered directly to Dean Klosterman.
Well, yeah, well,
Mr. Klosterman,
well,
can
you got to understand, Your Honor, we got more cattle in this state than we do have humans.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and they are not represented adequately, I might add.
That is, I mean, taxation without representation, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good point. Taxation without representation.
You know, I don't know why I threw that out. I'm going to be honest.
What does that mean?
Your Honor, where are you trying to go with this?
Well, I'm just pointing out that it seems like Mr. Simtone's heart is in the right place. He wants to provide representation to those who have none. And if we're going to be taxing cattle, basically with their lives, may I say, that they should be, represented, whether it be with workers' comp or insurance claims.
Well, there's a bigger issue here besides the fact that...
And I'm a judge. Can I say that? Like, can I just point out my own credentials? I'm a judge.
You're actually one of my personal heroes, Judge Vicarro.
Your Honor, matter of fact, in our law school, we use a lot of your findings and a lot of your rulings as case studies for our one student that we've had here, Mr. Esquire.
Very flattering.
I actually did my final project as a case study of your Godzilla versus King Kong.
Wow. That you should have... I mean... We have some footage of that, and it's kind of a hoot to look back on it.
Can we acquire some of that footage, Your Honor? We'd love to show it to our new recruits.
Well, before we get stuck down this Kenneth Vicarro rabbit hole, which don't get me wrong, I really am enjoying this. But
me too.
You're a wonderful judge, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, but God, I'm trying to stay on track here. I've heard enough. I think I've heard enough. You know what? Mr. Simtone, I will give you an internship with me.
Really?
And, Dean Klosterman, in the meantime, I'm going to give Mr. Simtone an 8-month internship. And Dean Klosterman, I think you should see to it that you have some alumni relations program in place to help your graduates land on their feet, because it's just highway robbery to have somebody pay you for education but not help them provide a means to implement it.
Well, Your Honor, I think that's a good point. Maybe in 8 months, when he's done with his internship, we can get him into highway robbery litigation. See?
We're working together to come up with solutions.
Wow. I just want to thank everyone involved for really putting my interests at the fore. This is more than I ever dreamed of. Thank you, Judge Vicarro.
Thank you all. This has been a very enlightening and educational experience for me, too. All right. Court dismissed.
See.
Listen to the Win podcast from the KZKO webpage or find their show streaming on YouTube. Stay tuned for Talking Points with Shabazz Davis.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with another exciting segment for Win on KZKO The Vibe.